Hello everyone, today we have new video review, and as you can see, this time we are going to talk about fresh release from ICM. So this is a kit in 1/32 scale, and it might be familiar to some of you because it's a Gladiator, and this time it comes as a J-8, so it's a Swedish fighter from World War II in its winter version, but there will be also a version with normal, let's say, wheels, so no worries. But we have a commercial sample here, so it means you'll get exactly the same stuff as what you'll see in this video review, so it will be interesting to see what has changed in the Swedish version and why it is, I would say, so popular among some modders, because I saw that some shops are already, let's say, sold out on this kit. It's really popular, so maybe it would be also good advice if you want to get one, it's better to hurry. But nevertheless, we have a commercial sample, so it means you will get exactly the same stuff as what you'll see in this video review. Box size is standard for 1/32 scale set from ICM, so I would say it's not big, but it's reasonably sized. Here you can see comparison with my hand. Box art is also beautiful. Next, on the side we have some information about the kit. So here we have a model with length of 262 millimeters, and there are 141 parts inside, which is more or less reasonable for the 1/32 scale kit. Next, on this side we have 3 marking options which are included into this kit. We will see them also in the assembly manual, so we won't be stopping on them right now. But I'm going to open this box by cutting the seals from all 4 sides, and then we will start checking what is actually supplied in this nice box. In the meantime, let me remind you that you can support us with a small donation. It's a really easy thing to do because it can be done via PayPal. We have a special button on our website on the desktop version, so if you would like to send us a small tip, be free to do so, and all this money will be used in order to improve our photo and video equipment, or maybe to get some new interesting kits which will be reviewed in these videos and articles. So now I'm trying to remove this top lid. As you can see, it's quite flexible, it's not protecting the kit at all. What is protecting is this white cardboard box, and I'm going to open it as well. And here we have one plastic bag for all parts, so I'm going to place box aside somewhere here. Well, you don't see, but somewhere here. And just to show you, all the frames are packed together. And I would say there was plenty of space, but still I do not understand packing everything together. At least it is a resealable plastic bag, so you can reuse it later. And now I'm going to take out all this stuff, and we will check everything together. Okay. So we are going to start with a new plastic sprue, which is designed for use especially with Swedish version of the aircraft. So maybe I'll open the camera a bit. Now you should be able to see what we have here. So we have skis, we have also new coding parts, and there are also some parts for the tail landing gear. And now we can zoom in a bit more so that you can check these parts closer. Molding quality is really nice. I would say it's on par what we saw with what we saw in previous releases from ICM, so there is no surprise, especially in a bad way. And attachment points are thin enough in order to carefully separate them off the sprue. And here you can check what is inside. So inside these parts, surprisingly, there are no guiding elements whatsoever, and this is really unusual in my opinion, so you will have to be careful while joining them together. But other than that, I do not see any possible issue here. And note that these skis, they are detailed from both sides, which is also a great feature to have. Next, we continue with a bigger plastic frame. So here we will have to zoom out because, well, it fits. You don't have to zoom out. But still, we have wing parts. And this is actually the lower wing. We also have landing gear wheels, we have separate wing mechanization, we have some cockpit parts here, and some other minor elements for external features. But now we are going to zoom in so that you can check everything closer. And note the external features on the wing parts, they look really good. I like how the canvas is copied on this part, so it's just a matter of careful painting and you will have a really nice result. Just be sure to use some weathering techniques as well, maybe pre-shading, so that it will be a bit more natural appearance and it will give a depth to overall result. Here you can see another wing part. Next we continue with some parts for landing gear legs, for example. Here we continue with landing gear wheels, instrument panel, engine parts, another half of the wing. And I think this wing is a new one because we have special slots for the installation of the landing gear in the winter version. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not remember such thing in the previous versions of the Gladiator. And here you can see cockpit floor and another pair for the landing gear wheels. But obviously I would recommend to replace landing gear wheels with the resin parts because such big kit deserves a resin upgrade. Here you can see parts from the opposite side. We have guiding elements which will help you align big parts together. This is really important because parts are really huge, and let's not forget that this is a 1/32 scale kit. Here we continue with engine parts, also some cooling elements, and also we have propeller, one-piece propeller. Let's zoom in, and straight away in this corner you can see a cockpit wall, also machine gun. Next we continue with various minor elements for the engine and cockpit, another machine gun, and another cockpit wall. Here you can see engine parts, and engine is really detailed in this kit, so I would recommend to spend some time painting and weathering and maybe to think through how to open it on the finished kit because it would be a shame to hide it inside. Here we have some landing gear parts and wing struts and another parts for the engine. By the way, this engine, it should be glued out of two halves, as you can see, so be sure to glue them carefully so that you get the right alignment between these two halves. Okay. Next, we continue with a large gray plastic sprue. This one is dedicated to wing halves. So here we have two halves for the top wing, and you can see that these ailerons are molded separately. We also have some tail surfaces here. That's the lower panel for the tail fin. We also have cooling panels here, and overall everything looks fine. I think there is no point in zooming in because these are quite simple parts. Here you can check that we have some guiding elements inside, so it will be easy to align them together. And note that, for example, even rudder is glued out of two halves, so you will have to deal with some possible gaps. I mean, to keep track of possible gaps so that everything will look fine. And next we have the last gray plastic frame. So here we have fuselage halves. I can zoom in a bit more. And you can see that both are molded together with the tail fin. We also have a nice imitation of the fabric surface in the tail area. Recessed panel lines and rivets are also present here, so it's just a matter of, again, careful painting of all this stuff. We can zoom in even further so that you can see these parts a bit more detailed view. Here you can check another one. And if you flip it over, inside we have guiding elements, but there is no cockpit details whatsoever. Why? Because we had cockpit walls molded separately, as you remember, so you have to glue inside the fuselage parts. Next we have this plastic bag with clear frame, so I'm going to open it right now and we will check what is actually supplied on this frame. Just give me a second for that. Obviously there are canopy parts, but as far as you can see we have two versions of the canopy, so if I zoom in you can see what I'm talking about, and they look really great. It's just a matter of masking, and masks, I'm not sure if they're included. We will have to check if at least the masking template is present inside, because recently ICM started including them into their kits. Next we have decals sheet in the assembly manual. That's also quite traditional thing for ICM, so I'll close the camera a bit. Here we have all necessary symbols for 3 marking options, as you remember. So yes, swastika is not provided in a complete form, you have to draw it, I guess. That's really interesting. I wonder how you will be replicating full swastika. So if you have some ideas, write it in the comment section. But we also have some dials for instrument panel and also some small stencils, which are quite important in a 1/32 scale kit. And now we can move on to the assembly manual. So here it is. Let's zoom out a bit. Maybe close the camera. So that's a color printed brochure. We have short history note and technical specifications on the first page. Next we continue with the parts map. Note that some parts won't be used, but there are not that many of them. And you will have also to use, so we have some templates in order to drill the holes, and you will have to cut them out and place on the fuselage half. Next we continue with machine gun installation straight on the first step. This is really interesting. Next we glue in the cockpit wall on the left fuselage half, and we continue with some cockpit parts. Well, here you can see the pilot seat, and as you remember, there are no seat belts whatsoever, so I would recommend to check the PE from Edward, because I suppose you can use PE parts from the previous versions and they will fit nicely here. Next we also have some special assembly options for the winter versions. Here you can see the one for the aircraft with landing gear view. Next we continue with various panels getting installed into the fuselage, and one more machine gun and cockpit wall on the opposite fuselage half. So what is next? Next we join these fuselage halves together and we continue with the target side installation. We also install rudder and special panel which will be actually closing the tail fin from the rear. Here we have tail wings getting assembled and also the elevators. And next we continue with canopy parts and some additional radiator panels from what I can see here. So you also have, well, it's a 3-piece canopy, so be sure to install them in the right sequence. As you can see, step 1, step 2, and also step 1, step 2. Next we also have a wing installation process, and here, by the way, you can see this tail lower panel for the fuselage. Next we continue with wing assembly for the top wing, and we install it on the separately molded struts. Here we assemble winter landing gear. As you can see, it will be a matter of combining several parts together. And of course you can also assemble the version with landing gear wheels, so here you are given the choice. But that's not all. As you remember, we have one thing missing from our aircraft, and that's the engine. So with the engine, it will be a really interesting thing, because here you have to choose the assembly option. That's the first. I can see that exhausts will be different. And next we continue with installation of the engine on the model. So as you can see, there is no option to open the cooling panels, and it's better to think through how to expose it. Next we install air intake and do some rigging on the wings. And yes, it is present on this aircraft. And well, it's quite a lot of rigging, so be ready for this. But we have masks template, at least something is good. And let's say some happy thing in the end. Here we continue with 2 marking options. So these marking options will have to be copied with some alterations, because obviously you have to copy these symbols, and they come from 1940 and also 1940, and one more aircraft in green color with wheels, it is from 1939. So overall we get a really interesting kit in a winter edition of the famous Gladiator, and it should be already available, so you can get it in Modelimex, for example. Of course, I will be happy to hear your opinion about such release. Do not forget to write it in the comment section below. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye!